We have prisons for people we're afraid of, but we've been filling them with folks we're just mad at.
Pat Nolan is the vice president of Prison Fellowship. He is also part of a growing movement to find a better way to deal with the nearly 2/3 of prisoners who are not considered a threat to society.
2.5 million people in prison, 62% there for soft, non-offensive drug convictions.
To capture, convict, and jail those prisoners costs nearly $300 billion. That figure has both sides of the political spectrum questioning our current system. Princeton professor Cornel West and PBS talk show host Tavis Smiley are among those who share Nolan's desire for change.
We have to do something about these persons who need help as opposed to being locked up. That's where it has to start.
For those who go to prison, the experience may do more harm than good.
The skills they learn to survive inside our violent prisons make them more dangerous when they get out.
I was 416. I was really my number.
Conducted in 1971, the Stanford Prison Experiment may offer insights into the negative psychological effects on soft criminals. Stanford professor Philip Zimbardo enlisted 24 college students and separated them into two groups. Those designated as prisoners were arrested at their homes by the local police department. They were then booked for robbery and placed in the mock prison located in the basement of the Stanford Psychology Building. The students assigned as guards were given uniforms and total control over the prisoners. Both groups quickly became their new roles. Active and outgoing college students became silent prisoners. Calm kids became combative. Everyone, including Professor Zimbardo, was shocked by the reality that had been created. The 2-week experiment was stopped after only 6 days.
Put a uniform on and are given a role, a job, saying your job is to keep these people in line, then you're certainly not the same person as if you were in street clothes and in a different role. You really become that person.
The person that I was that had decided to go to prison was distant from me, was remote, until finally I wasn't that. I was 416. I was really my number, and 416 was going to have to decide what to do.
This psychological effect may also help to explain the high rate of reincarceration. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 67% of released prisoners will be rearrested within 3 years.
Number one, it's very expensive to keep someone in prison. Number two, it sets them way behind life when they get out. They're branded as a felon. They have a hard time getting a job. So if there's a way to hold them accountable without sending them to prison, it's so much better.
There was absolutely no point of it. I was in prison in Maxwell, Alabama. I was running the washing machine.
Chuck Colson may be a perfect example of someone who went to prison not because he was dangerous, but because we were mad at him.
It was ridiculous. I could have been helping inmates who were poor and needed legal services, or former inmates.
As a lawyer in the early 70s, Colson served as special counsel to President Nixon. His involvement in the Watergate scandal led to a prison sentence, but also his acceptance of Jesus Christ. After his release, he founded Prison Fellowship. Colson says that the punishment is just as important as who actually pays the price for crime.
The taxpayers don't have to be punished in the process. When you put a guy like me in prison, he's spending $40,000 a year to support that person. He's not producing a thing. He could be producing things and paying back his victims, restitution.
Some states, like Texas, believe the best way to reform criminals is to not send them to prison in the first place.
Texas has adopted some of our reforms, and over $1 billion they've saved already. They were able to take 3 prisons off the table that they had in the budget and use that money for drug treatment programs and mental health facilities, and their crime rate dropped 10%, so it's not like they're letting people out that are dangerous.
Colson believes faith in Christ is the only way to truly change our prisons and the criminals that populate them.
People commit crimes because they make wrong moral choices. That's what I saw when I was in prison. That's what got me on this crusade I'm on to teach biblical worldview, because the moral breakdown in our society is doing more to cause crime than any other single thing.